Supervisors reorganization meeting, January 7th, 2013. We'll begin every meeting as we do with the salute to the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mrs. Poland, call the roll, please.
Mr. Galloway?
Here.
Mr. Six? Mr. Harvey?
Here.
Mr. Dents?
Here.
Mr. Rocco?
Here.
Let the record show Mr. Snipes had a conflict this evening he was unable to get out of. Okay, we're going to begin. This is a reorganization meeting, the first meeting of the year, held on the first Monday of the year. The board names its officers as well as makes appointments to boards and commissions and appoints professionals and does some other business to start out the year. First, we need actually a motion to appoint a temporary chairman until a chairman is appointed for the entire year. Is there a motion for a temporary chairman at this point?
Make a motion to appoint you as temporary chairman, Mr. Harvey.
Seconded.
All right, motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'll abstain. Thank you. All right, item number 1 is to appoint a chairman to the Falls Township Board of Supervisors. The role of chairman is no extra pay, essentially. It's just an office appointed by the other board members. Helps to set the agenda with the help of the manager and the other board members, and obviously conducts the meetings. Is there a motion for a chairman for the Falls Township Board of Supervisors?
Again, make a motion to appoint yourself, Mr. Bob Harvey, as chairman of the Township Supervisors.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
I'll abstain. I appreciate the honor. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Vice Chairman, appointment for the Falls Township Board of Supervisors. Is there a motion to appoint a Vice Chair?
I'll make a motion to appoint Mr. Jeff Dents.
Okay. Motion made
Seconded.
and seconded. Mr. Dents obviously accepts this.
Yes.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Secretary-Treasurer of the Falls Township Board of Supervisors is responsible for signing a lot of the checks here at the township. His signature goes on all the paychecks as well as a lot of other checks that have to be signed in person because of the amount that's being paid. Is there a motion for a Secretary-Treasurer for the Falls Township Board of Supervisors for 2013?
I'll make a motion to appoint Mr. Jeff Rocco, Secretary-Treasurer.
Seconded.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, abstentions? Abstain. Right. The Assistant Secretary-Treasurer appointment is to act in place of the Secretary-Treasurer in times when the Secretary-Treasurer can't be there to sign checks physically or do other kinds of duties like that. It has been, and I think it is basically standard practice for the manager to be named as the Assistant Treasurer Secretary. Is there a motion to name Mr. Peter Gray, the Assistant Secretary-Treasurer for the Falls Township Board of Supervisors?
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right. Those are the appointments of the officers. And we to be changing around some of our letterhead and doing some other business work to get those things straightened away now. But we're up to public comment, which is item 5 on our agenda. Tonight we're going to take public comment. This will be the only period for public comment. We're not going to accept public comment during any of the other business before the township this evening. So if anyone has any business before the township this evening, they can speak during the public comment period. Mr. Gray, do we have the sign-in sheets?
Yes.
Those all going pretty quickly. Pretty fast.
Okay, we have two names on the list this evening. Roland Kenny.
Roland Kenny, Falls Township. I was going to first start off with waste management, them 180 barges coming down the river, but the paper answered my questions today. 4 or 5 months ago, a young Marine was down in Mexico, and he was thrown in jail for having a gun that was legal. Our State Department, our president, did nothing. It took somebody like Bill O'Reilly to start a thing up, not to visit the place, not to go near it. He was home by Christmas. So, means nothing to me thanking him, but I think somebody means something should thank the man for getting that boy home. Christmas Eve, another, not a nut. He wasn't a nut. This man had hatred. 19 or so years ago, he killed his grandmother with a hammer, and they let him out on the street. And on Christmas Eve, he called the fire department at 911, said he had a fire going in his house. The only thing, we lost 2 firemen that day. He shot them to death and wounded the other 2. The only thing them firemen was guilty of is getting up 5 o'clock in the morning to go put out a fire. That this evil, I wish I could curse. He tried to take down his whole neighborhood. That's how much hatred that man had of him. But he took them 2 firemen, and all they were guilty of is getting up 5 o'clock in the morning to go try to help this moron. Then getting back to the 3 or 4 months ago, at least 4 months ago, we lost an ambassador. We lost an ambassador, we lost 2 Navy SEALs, and I don't know what the other gentleman was down in Benghazi. They were all murdered. And we had a chance to save them, and we chose 15 times to say, no, we're not going to help you. You know, I'm a Democrat, but this man is a moron that we got in office there. It's ridiculous what he's doing here, and he threw Mrs. Wright under the bus. She had nothing to do with that. I think Hillary Clinton had something to do with it, but she's not speaking. And it goes right up. I've been president, and he's the chairman of this board, same as I was. It all ends up with him, as it all ended up with me and Adam Rowe. This president should be held accountable. I'll just say this, and with these, I'm not going to say no more about them people, but none of you's up there, probably none of you's in here, maybe Mr. Clark. I don't even know if Mr. Clark's old enough to remember Watergate. I remember it was Democrats broke into Republicans and stole the files.
Other way around.
Huh?
Other way around. You said Democrats broke into Republican headquarters. It was the other way around.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. They stole their files, and nobody was killed. Nobody died. Then we move up a little few years to Richard Milhouse Nixon. He lied to the American people, and he apologized and stepped down. The man we have in there now should apologize to the American people for the people we're losing, and he's not doing nothing about it. Now the taxes, they start your first paycheck of the year. You'll start losing some money. And the money we owe China and the rest of them, my great-grandchildren are going to be stuck with that. We need to start paying our bills. You can't get away with it in your house. We shouldn't be able to get away with it in government. And I'll end with, I don't know if you watch Sunday Morning. I watch Sunday Morning. A young lad looked up his father. He was dying of cancer. And he said, "Daddy, I don't think I'll ever get married." He says, and the father looked down at him and says, "What are you talking about, son?" And he says, "I think God has other plans for me." And with that, he shut his eyes and died. For him, I think his name was David, Dave something. But anyway, for him and them firemen, I'd like the moment of silence, if we may. Mr. Chairman, do I have your permission?
Certainly.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night, gentlemen.
Hi. I see Mr. Mariani's name on the list, but he's not here. Okay. All right, those are the only two names I have on the list. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Seeing no hands. Okay. All right, next item on the agenda is to establish meeting dates and times for the regular meetings of the Falls Township Board of Supervisors. This past year, the board met the first and third Tuesdays of every month at 7 o'clock. Occasionally, during the summer, if there was a lack of agenda items, we canceled one of the meetings and only had one meeting a month. Is it the pleasure of the board to continue with that system, first and third Tuesdays at 7?
Yes.
Yes.
Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
Seconded.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right. Item 7 is appointment of township solicitor and special counsel and to set compensation for those professionals. The township has obviously a general counsel. Mr. Clark has been general counsel for my entire tenure here, 11 years. Township also has a labor attorney as well as special counsel for various contract negotiations that go on periodically, and also a land development attorney that specifically handles issues of land development. Okay. We have a couple different letters from individuals interested in essentially remaining at their current position. A letter from Mr. Clark requesting to stay on as the solicitor for Falls Township, hourly rate of $170 per hour for township business and $300 per hour for land development. These are the same costs as last year, correct?
That is correct.
All right, so there's no change in that. Okay. Is there motion by anyone on the board or any comments or questions for Mr. Clark?
I have no questions.
None.
Okay. Is there a motion to reappoint Mr. Clark at the rates listed in his December 11th letter?
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Let's see. We have a letter from Mr. Randy Flager, who has been the land development solicitor for Falls Township, again, since, I guess, about 9 years now. He is also asking to remain on as the solicitor for land development with an hourly fee the same as Mr. Clark's fees for township business and a rate of $315 per hour for developers. Is there a motion or comments or questions regarding a land development attorney? If not, is there a motion to reappoint Mr. Flager's firm at the amount listed in his December 14th letter?
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Letter from Mr. Jordan Yeager. who is interested in remaining as labor counsel for the Falls Township Board of Supervisors. An hourly charge of $145 an hour for general labor, $175 for arbitrations and litigation. Comments or questions regarding Mr. Yeager's letter?
None.
Okay, is there a motion to reappoint him according to the fees stated in his December 4th letter?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Any other issues regarding Township Solicitor or Special Counsel for item 7?
None.
Okay. All right, item 8, excuse me, appointment of Township Engineer and Traffic Engineer. We have a couple different letters from different firms interested in that work. T&M Associates has been the Township Engineer for, is it 2 years?
2.5.
2.5 years.
Sullivan.
2.5 years T&M. Jim Sullivan has been the engineer for Falls Township since, I believe it was April of '04.
That is correct.
I remember that a little bit more specifically. And we have a variety of rates here based on different people that are working everything from $50 an hour up to $102 an hour. Are these rates the same as last year's rates, Ms. Sullivan? Are you aware?
Yes, they are.
All right, the same as last year's rates. I should have said actually the other rates I believe are also all the same for Mr. Yeager and Mr. Flager. Comments or questions for Mr. Sullivan regarding his request to be reappointed?
None.
If not, is there a motion to reappoint Jim Sullivan of T&M Associates as Township excuse me, engineer?
So moved.
Thank you. At the rates listed here. Getting all choked up, Mr. Sullivan.
It's hard to
With you
say,
for
I
such a
guess.
long time.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Let's put that aside here. We have a letter of interest from Remington Vernick in being the traffic engineers for Falls Township. We also have a rate sheet that has their rates. Traffic planning and design has been our... Oh, thank you very much. Traffic planning and design has been our traffic engineers for some time. We thank them for the work that they've done for us in the past. The board feels it's desirable at this point to move on with a different firm for a variety of reasons. And looking at the rates, they appear substantially, if not exactly the same as what TPD would have charged or was charging us in the past. I know there is a representative from Remington Vernick here. If there are any questions regarding this submission for Remington Vernick to be the traffic engineers for Falls Township for 2013. Any questions or comments?
None.
I have none.
Okay. Is there a motion then to appoint Remington Vernick engineers, engineers as the traffic attorneys for Falls, or traffic engineers for Falls Township for 2013?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. I see we do have also a letter here from Remington Vernick regarding their building inspection. I don't know if we're going to do that now or if that's actually, is there something later that, I don't think that's a specific agenda item.
That's my contract,
I can't recall if we've made that appointment each year. I believe that's a contract that we have or an agreement that we have with Remington Vernick to provide code. I don't believe we reappointed them at reorganization last year. I think it's just an ongoing agreement.
Okay. All right, is that understanding? I'm seeing a nod. That's been our understanding. Okay, all right, then fine. Then we don't have to take any action on that. Okay? All right. Let's see. Any other issues regarding engineering?
None.
None.
Okay, in the past, the township has had a conflict engineer, and that is in case there's ever a project that comes forward where the engineering firm, for example, T&M, does private work in addition to working for governments. And so if a project came to us that was done by a T&M firm, because they have firms all over the Mid-Atlantic, then obviously the T&M engineers here couldn't review a project done by another T&M engineer. And so we'd have a conflict engineer who would sort of step in and be a neutral party. We don't really see any, I think we only had one of those in the past few years. And so we don't really, I know we have a letter of interest from one firm who's interested in that position, who held it for a while, but we don't see the need to appoint them at this time because there's no work to give them. If there is, it's something we can always do in the future very easily. So.
Okay.
Okay, item 9 is consider township manager's agreement.
This is a tough one.
Board members, board members have the professional agreement that has been essentially the same agreement that's been in place for Mr. Gray for several years now, for a few years now. There was an executive session to go over this since it is a personnel matter a few weeks ago. Board members were given some information from Township solicitor, and also had a chance to take a look and make some corrections and changes to things they thought were necessary. Mr. Gray has seen this employment agreement, obviously, and is in favor of it, I'm assuming. Any comments or questions regarding the employment agreement for Mr. Gray?
None.
No.
It does entitle Mr. Gray to a salary of approximately $117,000 a year. Okay, it also lists a variety of other, obviously, personnel things in terms of vacation time, sick time, and those kinds of things. The salary I mention only because the correction that we made this year, which I think is a correction, so I think we made a mistake last year. The township manager is essentially the CEO of this township. He's responsible for all the day-to-day operations. He's responsible for all the hiring, all the firing, everything that happens in this building on a day-to-day basis is the responsibility of the township manager. This is a government, but you can think of it as a corporation, over 100 people, including police department, public works, finance, code enforcement, fire marshal's office, park and recreation. And so his responsibility is not, sort of just coming here and running the meetings and setting the agenda. His responsibilities are day-to-day, in weekends, evenings. If there's a problem in Falls Township, it's his phone that rings first. And then essentially he decides on what to do, and obviously keeps us in contact and keeps us up to date. So in light of all that work, the salary that is established for Mr. Gray does make him the highest paid employee in Falls Township, which we think it makes sense, because for a while he was not the highest paid employee, which doesn't make a lot of sense for him to have people that work under him who are getting paid more than him. This is a fair, I think, in my opinion. I think the board agrees this is a fair situation for Mr. Gray. He's worked for this township since 1995.
August 16th, 1999.
99.
99.
Excuse me. No, August 16th, 1999. Mr. Gray has a very Rain Man-like proficiency with numbers and dates. Working as the finance director for this township for a very long time, winning countless awards for excellence in finance, government finance, and he's done an excellent job as township manager. And so I'll ask board members any comments or questions regarding the employment agreement for Mr. Peter Gray.
I think we need to hurry up and do this because he's going to explode. No questions. He does a great job.
Okay. All right, then. Is there a motion to approve the employment agreement for Mr. Peter Gray?
Yes, I'll make the motion.
Second it.
All in favor? Aye. No negatives, no abstentions. Okay, thank you, Mr. Gray.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, appointment of a vacancy chairman is item 10. The vacancy board chairman would sit in essentially this seat if there was ever an opening on the Board of Supervisors. The law states that the remaining board members would nominate and hopefully appoint someone to fill that position until such time as a special election was held. If one member is missing, it's a 4-person board at that point. If the remaining board members could not agree on a replacement, if they were always voting 2-2, after I think it's like 30 days or something like that, a vacancy board chair would take over and essentially cast a tie-breaking vote. I think the last time we had a vacancy board chairman who actually had to vote was, I think, 2000, maybe 2001, something like that.
Not since I've been here.
Yeah, not since Mr. Clark has been here. So it's obviously been a very long time. I don't think any of us are planning on going anywhere anytime soon. So, but it's a good, hopefully, it's a good idea to have a vacancy board chair just in case. Ms. Arlene Goulding, who's held a variety of roles in this township for a very, very long time and has done them all very, very well, has been the vacancy board chair, I think, since 2005. And so she has placed a letter interested in being reappointed. This is, again, a volunteer position, and she's held the position since 2005, I believe it was, and has never actually had to serve. So, yeah, she's done a very good job, as Mr. Kinney says. So is there a motion to reappoint Mrs. Goulding to the position of vacancy board chair?
I'll make that motion.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, thank you. All right, item 11 is appointments to various boards, councils, committees, and commissions. Board of Supervisors has a variety of volunteer boards. Some are do get paid as well. Boards and authorities and commissions. There are openings on almost all of them, and so we're always looking for interested people who want to help out their community. The vast majority, if not all of these boards, meet usually at most, pretty much always at most, once a month. There are some boards that don't even meet that often. They meet quarterly, or they meet when needed. They are, again, all voluntary except for a couple, I think 3, that receive some kind of stipend. And they range from Disabled Persons Advisory Board to the Environmental Advisory Council, Park and Rec Board, Historic Review Board, Water Authority, Zoning Board, Cable Advisory, etc. So we have a variety of people that wish to be reappointed to seats. That we have some people that are looking to fill vacancies. And let's see, we have, I know we have some people, I know a lot of the board members here are familiar with a lot of the members who are looking to be reappointed, and people that are looking for seats on some of these boards. Is there, just kind of looking down the list here, that I have Board of Appeals, Mr. Robert Hedden has been on the board and wishes to be reappointed, and he has submitted a letter as such. Is there a motion to, or any interest in reappointing Mr. Hedden? If so, is there a motion?
I move.
Okay. All right. Motion to approve, put Mr. Hedden back on the Board of Appeals for a full term. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Cable Advisory Board, we have 1 term expiration. We have 2 vacancies. So I guess essentially we have 3 vacancies at this point. Is there, we didn't necessarily, I don't know if we received any formal letter of interest. So I don't know if any desire at this point to make any steps at that board.
Police pension.
Yeah, Community and Economic Development Commission. We have 1 expiration and 1 vacancy. Okay, and I know there is 1 letter of interest from Mrs. Vanessa Persichetti, who is actually here this evening. So if board members have any comments or questions for her, or any, just looking at the letter of interest she's put out. Graduate of Millersville University with a degree in economics. Lifelong resident of Falls Township, recently married and purchased a home in Falls Township. And she's interested in being on the committee. Comments or questions?
No.
Not. Is there a motion to appoint Mrs. Persichetti to a full term on the CEDC?
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you very much. It was painless, right? Environmental Advisory Council. Okay, term expirations. We have 2. Mr. Wesley Plaisted said he wishes to be reappointed. Another gentleman, Mr. Oman Koppel, has not, I guess, gotten back to us yet. I know Mr. Plaisted's been on the EAC, I think, since I've been here.
been on for a while,
for a
yes.
very long time. Is there a motion to reappoint Mr. Plaisted to the EAC?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Let's see. We have Historic Preservation Commission. We have 3 vacancies. We don't have anybody who's submitted for that. Historic Review Board. We have 1 vacancy, and that vacancy must be filled by a registered architect or a qualified building contractor. So if anyone's interested in that, it's there. Park and Recreation Board, there's 1 vacancy. Planning Commission, we have 2 terms expiring. Mr. Binney, who's been the chairman for a while, and Mr. Goulet, and both wish to be reappointed. Any motions to that effect regarding those seats?
None. Make a motion for both at the same time or one at a time?
Yes, we can do.
You could make a motion for both
All
at the
right,
same
so
time,
moved then.
as long as there's no objection from any other board members.
Okay. All right.
Second.
Motion to reappoint both Mr. Binney and Mr. Goulet to Planning Commission for full terms. Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Police Pension Committee. Okay. This is a slightly different board. This one is made up of 1 representative from the Board of Supervisors, 2 representatives from the public. Mr. Gray always represents as well, and 1 representative from the Police Department. Mr. Galloway was our representative for this past year. Are you interested in being reappointed?
Yes.
Okay. So is there a motion to reappoint Mr. Galloway to the Police Pension Committee?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Okay. And Mr. Roach and Mr. Conroy, who have been on the board, both sent letters in and expressed interest in being reappointed. So, and I think they've both been on this board, I think, pretty much since I've been here. You know? Any comments or questions? If not, Chair will entertain motions for that board.
I'll make the motion to reappoint all 3 or just 2? We already
It's Mr.
appointed.
Roach and Mr. Conroy.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right, regarding Water and Sewer Authority, we have 3 letters of interest. We have 2 term expirations. Mrs. Mangone, who's been on the board for a while, her term was up actually last year. Mr. Renson, also been on the board for a while, which is to be reappointed. Mr. Anthony Rossa, who was on the board for a while, term was not renewed, is interested in becoming a member again. And this would have to be by resolution, correct?
Correct.
Right.
We have, I believe there have been resolution prepared
Right,
for all
so-
3 individuals.
The first resolution would be 2013-1 and 2013-2, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so the chair will entertain motions at this time regarding the vacated or the openings on the Water and Sewer Authority.
And before,
I'll make a motion to appoint Lisa Mangone, and that would be retroactive, right?
To last year?
That is correct.
Effective
It'll be
January 2012,
January 1st of 2012, for a 5-year
a
term.
5-year term. I'll make that motion.
Okay. Motion made for Mrs. Mangone. Is there a second?
second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. This would be Resolution 2013-01.
Yes.
Okay. All right, motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right, so Resolution 2013-02.
Make a motion to appoint Anthony Rosso.
Mr. Chairman, before we speak to that motion, I believe that this is one of those unfortunate situations. Mr. Rosso did a fine job, from what I understand, on the TOFA board in the past, and he's certainly qualified to hold the position. But in order to place Mr. Rosso back on that board, we have to take Mr. Renson off the board, in essence. And he's just been such a, I don't know, personally, just by reputation. He's served for decades on the Cable Advisory Board, right? And he's done, what, about 6 years on TOFA. So it's one of those unfortunate situations where you know that Mr. Rosso would do a great job, but Mr. Renson is there, and he has done a fine job. So I'm going to vote in opposition, but I'm not opposed to Mr. Rosso holding the position. I know he's going to do a fabulous job.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So motion made for Mr. Rosso to be appointed to the term, to a 5-year term on the Water and Sewer Authority. Is there a second?
I'll make the second motion.
Okay. All right, so motion made and seconded for Mr. Rosso. This would be 2013-02. Okay. This is, again, I will echo Mr. Galloway's comments. This is, read through a bunch of commissions and boards where we have vacancies and no one wants to fill them, and this happens to be one of the odd cases where we have too many people who want too few seats. It is an unfortunate situation. Obviously, it's easy to take something like this personally, and I would hope very much that people don't take it personally. All in favor of Resolution 2013-2, appointing Mr. Rosso to a 5-year term on the Water Sewer Authority, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so I echo Mr. Galloway's comments to thank Mr. Renson for his volunteer work that he does and continues to do in this township, and I would encourage him to do all he can to stay involved as much as he can. So, Zoning Hearing Board, we had one term expiration, but we also have a resignation as well. Mr. Bill Kiernan, who's been on the Zoning Hearing Board for a few years now, sadly was unable to continue in that role because of his employment situation. He was forced to take a job that is out of the area, and so he tried to make a go of it, tried to sort of do his job on the zoning board while holding this job that was actually headquartered in Pittsburgh, but obviously he has to do what's best for his family. He has to keep the job, but keeping the job means he can't serve on this board anymore. So he resigned. So we do have an opening. Mr. Dan Miles, sit down. Mr. Dan Miles, whose term has expired on Zoning Hearing Board, wishes to be reappointed. And that'll also be a resolution, correct?
Yes.
2013-3.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion to reappoint Mr. Miles to a full term on the zoning board?
So moved.
Seconded.
All right. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. And we do have an alternate on the zoning hearing board, Mr. Doug Mall, who, if I assume that we would elevate him to a full member to fill out the remainder of Mr. Kiernan's term. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay. That would be 2013-4. Okay. Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that means we do have one opening on the zoning hearing board for an alternate, if anyone was interested in applying for that. Okay. Let's see. And those are all of the boards and commissions and all the openings. So again, thank people for submitting their letters of interest. The board can fill openings in boards and commissions anytime during the year. It doesn't have to be done just the first meeting of the year. And so I know there are still some openings. There was one gentleman interested in the Disabled Persons Advisory Board. Oh, actually, excuse me, wait, I think I skipped that. I did. I'm sorry. Mr. Robert Leary has been on the Disabled Persons Advisory Board for some time, which is to be reappointed. I spoke to him the other day. Is there a motion to reappoint Mr. Leary to the Disabled Persons Advisory Board?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And there was another gentleman who applied to be on the Disabled Persons Advisory Board. I actually made a phone call to him yesterday, but I haven't, or yesterday or Saturday, and haven't gotten a call back from him. So, we could be looking to fill that position or one of those positions in maybe next week or the week after, or a meeting after. Okay. All right, item 12, appointment of depositories by resolution. Mr. Gray, if you wouldn't mind explaining what we're doing here?
Yes. Each year, the township designates certain banking institutions as a depository for the township for each calendar year. For this particular year, the township has enclosed 10 banking institutions for the board to consider for a resolution we prepared. They include First National Bank and Trust, First Service Bank, Pliget, SCI, Invest, JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, First Trust, Citizens Bank, and TD Bank. Of these banking institutions, the township currently uses 6. We use First National Bank as our primary banking account, and the other banks are used for various investments throughout the township, including police pension, waste management tipping fee money, and various other accounts as well. And tonight, before you is a resolution to consider using these depositories as banking institutions for 2013.
Okay. For those in the public, Mr. Gray, how do we decide which banks get which money? How do we decide where to put our money? Essentially, we have, as you said, 10 different banks here that we could deposit money into. How do we decide which ones to put it into?
Well, several of the institutions, such as SCI, that holds our police pension money, and some remaining water and sewer investment money. So all of our money goes to there for those type of accounts. Pliget holds all of our short-term investments for money that is sitting idle that we may not use in the daily operations. Same with First Service. It has some capital reserve funding, some landfill money. That's another investment account. Invest is a state-run organization. They also hold some of the investments we have. And First National Bank is our primary account. We have our checking there for the general fund. We have our payroll accounts. We use our debit cards there. So each one has a service, a specific service we use for each location. And the other banks that are on this list are in the area. They're just not used, but they're available in case we ever choose to use them down the road for this year.
And they're not used, is it because of the rates aren't very good? Is it because of customer service? Is it, what's?
We've just never had a reason to use them for this particular year, but we do have them available if we do choose to go to those banks for the year for consideration purposes.
Okay. All right, any of the comments or questions from Mr. Gray regarding, this would be Resolution 2013-05?
5.
Is this the same list as last year?
I believe so, yes it is.
Go ahead.
Any other comments or questions?
None.
No? If not, is there a motion to approve Resolution 2013-5?
So moved.
Seconded?
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item 13. Recommendation to the Board of Auditors to set the treasurer's bond at $2 million. Mr. Gray, you want to explain this one as well?
Sure. There are 3 members of the township manager, the township secretary treasurer, and the finance director who are bonded each year. The reason for that is each month there are various checks that are written and go to various vendors. And they're done through a bill list, and just in case something were to happen to the funds in our accounts, somebody were to take off, such as one of those 3 individuals, we would have bonds available to insure for that money that was lost. So hopefully that'll never happen, but in case it does, the money will be there.
Why did he look up here when he said that?
I don't know. I'm not sure. But something similar, did happen was Northampton. I guess the manager was playing a little fast and loose with the township debit card, I believe
That
it
is
was.
correct. That's going back probably about 7 or 8 years ago, 6
Right.
or 7 years ago, but yep. I think that was a little over $200,000. And sometimes the question is asked, why is a treasurer's bond set at $2 million when the township has significantly more money than that? The financial controls that the township has in place makes it unlikely that any of the people who are in that position would be able to go anywhere close to the $2 million before the financial controls would kick in and it would be discovered. So it's really, the $2 million is in excess of what could potentially be taken by someone who is in that position.
Okay. All right, other comments or questions regarding the recommendation to the Board of Auditors?
I have none.
None.
Okay. Is there a motion then to make the recommendation to the Board of Auditors to set the treasurer's bond at $2 million?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, item 14 is nomination of a delegate and alternate to the State Association's 91st Annual Education Conference and Trade Show, which is April 21st to the 24th. PSATS, which is an organization of township supervisors from all over Pennsylvania, has this conference every April in Hershey. Right? Is it Hershey?
Hershey.
Yeah. The township will usually sends a representative if it can, depending on the schedules of the supervisors. It's always during a weekday. Basically, I think it's Sunday to Wednesday, and so being a teacher, I can't go. Mr. Galloway's in the same boat as me. I know Mr. Snipes has gone before. I know Mr. Gray has gone before at different times. Mr. Prokopiak, when he set up here, has gone before. Mr. Dents has gone before as well. And so we're not going to nominate anybody tonight necessarily. We'll let people check their schedules, although we probably should just nominate Mr. Snipes since he's not here to say no. But we'll come back to that. Obviously, we have time, and there's no timeline in terms of when we have to nominate somebody. So item 15, we do have a couple orders of business this evening. Item 15 is consider proposal for DocStar Document Management Solutions. Mr. Gray?
Over the past few months, the township has been looking into document imaging services for the township. Matt Markey has met with DocStar recently and obtained a quote for $135,502.40 for this service. Also, with the township were to approve this, a discount of $15,000 would be available as well. The board is asked to consider this purchase. In addition, Mr. Markey is available for any questions you may have.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Markey.
Hello.
Thank you for putting this together and for giving us an idea of what exactly it is. What's document imaging management? What is that?
We have a lot of paper here in the building. It's the establishment of getting all that paper into a computer and sorted in a way where it can be indexed and searched and be actively used on a regular basis without taking up the massive square footage it does in the building. We have rooms full of paper. Some of it we have to hold on to, some we'll be able to get rid of, but this process will get everything digitized, indexed, and will allow it to go forward so we don't build more paper. Scan things in on a regular basis and get rid of it, what we can get rid of. There's a state retention schedule that will follow. Any paper that doesn't fall, we can dispose of. On the proposal, it's not built into the price because we don't know, but at the end of the process, they will properly dispose of any documents. And if you guys approve this proposal, they will stand by the price of $4.40 per box for any of the documents we want destroyed. A lot of it's real old stuff. None of it's sensitive, any real sensitive material, but they'll take it off site, index it, and if it can be destroyed, we can option to that. But I didn't put anything in there for that because we just don't know yet. Plus, we might be able to competitively get Waste Management or someone else to help us with that down the road.
Okay. All right. Comments or questions for Mr. Markey? Let's start, and then we'll start on this end, Mr. Rocco.
Okay. It's a $68,150 cost to have the existing documents scanned and indexed?
Correct. That's the company coming with their people to collect the documents, scan them, follow our laid out method once we establish that with each individual department of what information needs to be indexed. Say plans are real easy. They have a date, they have a description, but certain documents that we need, they need to be done by hand. And so that price includes all of that work for every document we have here in the building.
I think that's all I had.
Mr. Dents?
And moving forward, new documents are going to be done electronically?
As much as possible. As much as possible. We're going to try to stick by the state schedule as much as possible. If we don't have to hold on to it, get it out of here, stop taking up space, put it into the system. You'll notice there's different lines on here for integration with our current existing software, BSNA and such. That's so everything can integrate nicely. So in the code department, they can pull up documents right from one interface that they could be relevant, whether it's plans, any documents they scanned in, and they'll all attach in like one portfolio or however it's managed, and everything's right there to say each tax parcel, wherever they decide to group them. But it's going to be a long process. I hope to be done this by the middle of the year, maybe third quarter. It's going to take some time.
Okay. Mr. Galloway?
And just if you could restate that, what was the price that you had gotten for the secure destruction?
Secure destruction was $4.40 per box, 10 by 12 by 15. So as much paper as I can fit in that size box, be it plans or 8.5 by 11, whatever it is, they'll destroy it for roughly $5 a box.
Sounds great, because even if you're not sure, you think that everything it's not sensitive or whatnot, they guarantee the destruction of it and disposal, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's destroyed, burned, go into the world.
You got it. All right, thank you.
I guess the question I would have, and I think other people would have, is if we're digitizing all of our records, what's the safety protocol for, the redundancies, I guess, built into the system where, if something crashes, if what are we saving it on? Is it on disks? Is it on, hard disks? How are we making sure that this stuff isn't going to vanish and we're never able to get it back again?
We have, this system will fall under our normal backup procedures as well as its own cloud storage backup. So we'll actually have 2 layers just for this part of our system. Here in the building, we have several layers of redundancy for our data. This will be included in that, plus its own off-site cloud-based storage. There is a yearly fee for that, but I didn't include anything more than a 1-year warranty because I figure at the end of the year, depending on how complex the database and the system is, work it out with them for maybe a multi-year discount at the end of this year going forward. That would also include the cloud storage. So I didn't want to get involved in anything until we actually see what we're dealing with once the monster's put together. Okay.
Now, I guess that raises another question for me. What if going forward 2, 3, 4 years down the line, we decide we're not really happy with this particular company? The storage, the things they have stored cloud-based, as you're saying,
right.
We're still going to have access to that? Can we get it transferred to a different company? How does that work?
The database is open format, so if we wanted to find the new front end, basically, or a new service, the database could be moved to another service that would be able to read it. Our storage is ours. If we wanted it, we would have a certain period of time to download our documents from the cloud, and then they would delete their records on their end. But they're always ours. We always have access. We always control it. They don't actually have access to it. Also, the system's designed so, we have 25 congruent users. There's certain restraints on what people can see, what documents. There's multiple levels of control there as well. So while some stuff is stored offline in the cloud, they have no access to it. It's just data to them. They don't see it arranged in PDF files or anything like that.
Okay, that was another question I had. All right, so thank you. Okay. And as Mr. Gray pointed out, and I think Mr. Markey also said, one of the reasons we're acting on this evening is because there is an incentive, essentially over $15,000 in discount, as well as 6 different tablet computers, essentially, that this company would provide us. And so we're saving, saving more than $15,000. We're saving $15,000, but each of the tablets is probably between $500 to $700 or something like that.
Roughly.
So we're making out some money here too. So instead of $135,502.40, we'd be approving the amount of $120,269.40. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Any other comments or questions?
No.
Okay. All right. If not, is there a motion then to approve the proposal with DocStar in the amount of $120,269.40?
I'll make the motion.
Seconded?
Okay, motion made and seconded. Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dent?
Yes.
Mr. Rocco?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is a resolution 2013, must be 6?
6.
6. Okay, which is establishing the various fees for pretty much everything that goes on in the township, from park and rec fees to inspection fees to permits and zoning and rentals of pavilions at the township park, summer camp program. There's a whole variety here. Pretty much everything that we provide, every service we provide that we charge a fee for, these fees are being updated. Mr. Gray, do we have I guess a rough ballpark breakdown in terms of what's going up, what's staying the same?
Yes, in the fee schedule for 2013, the main increases are included in the park and rec area, specifically the Pinewood Pool memberships and the gazebo rentals and the summer camp program. I believe it's $50 across the board for each item.
Okay. right, comments or questions for Mr. Gray?
None.
No? Okay. Yeah, the park and rec fees have stayed the same for quite a while, and we did that deliberately because of concerns with the economy being what it was. However, was getting to the point where the township was losing money financially on a lot of these park and rec projects and programs, I should say. And so we felt that there did need to be some increase, tried to keep it at still pretty manageable rate. For a lot of this, and we think we're still in a pretty good ballpark when it comes to making things affordable for people with their children and their families. If there are no comments or questions, is there a motion to approve Resolution 2013-6, the fees and rates for code, fire, park, and recreation?
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, lastly, minutes for December 4th and December 18th. We can look at these together here. Comments or questions regarding either of the minutes?
None.
I have none.
No? Okay, is there a motion to adopt the minutes as presented for both meetings in December?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we don't have a need for an executive session. Mr. Gray, you're up.
Yes, just one item tonight. I have a letter from Michael Connor at Area Health requesting an extension on this particular project until March 31st, 2013. The board is asked to consider this extension.
Okay. All right, so is there a motion then to grant an extension to March 31st, 2013 for Area Health, 131 Lincoln Highway?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. All right, board comment?
Mr. Harvey, I have one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Brief item. We have a tax assessment appeal that was filed by Nexio Solutions LLC for a property located at 1101 New Ford Mill Road within the township. As the board is aware from prior tax assessment appeals, when a property owner or the school district files an appeal of a property assessment, the township, as one of the taxing bodies, becomes involved, but then we stand down essentially and let the school district, who has the most to lose, take the lead in these matters. And normally when the school district is in agreement to settle a case, the township and the county go along, because again, the school district gets about 84% of each tax dollar. The school district is recommending a settlement of this matter, which will set the assessment for 2012 and then set the assessment for 2013 and every year moving forward. The assessment for 2012 will see the property valued at $9,850,000 for a lawful assessment of $1,113,050, and then the common level ratio will drop on the property for 2013, so the assessment will drop by essentially about $50,000. So with your approval, I would ask for a motion to authorize my office to execute the stipulation and agreed order so that this matter can be settled by the school district.
Okay, comments or questions for Mr. Clark?
None.
None.
Okay, if not, is there a motion to allow Mr. Clark to carry out his task in formalizing this new assessment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, so we'll move to board comment. Mr. Dents?
No, of course.
You're going to pick me. I was going to say you're picking on me today.
I look forward to another great year. We had a good year last year. It's nice working up here with 5 gentlemen, or 4 gentlemen and myself. And I hope we have another great year next year in 2013. And that's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Galloway?
I just wish everyone a Happy New Year and echo Mr. Dent's sentiments and look forward to this year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rocco?
Yes, Happy New Year, everyone. Also, My son's birthday was last Friday, so happy birthday. He's 12 years old to Brady Rocco. Little plug for the birthday.
That's why not. That's right. Yeah. I want to thank the board members, obviously, for the trust they put in me to be the chairman. It is an honor that I take very seriously, and I thank you very much for that. For the professionals and for the management that here at the Township Building Administration, thank you very much for a great year. And like Mr. Dents, I'm looking forward to a good year. Hopefully, a lot more land development. And then Mr. Sullivan's looking forward to that too. He's got a wedding coming up in the summer for his daughter. Needs to. I don't know if I'm getting invited to that, but I guess it depends on how much work we generate this year. So Mr. Clark has a daughter in pre-med at Pitt, so he's looking forward to a good year of land development as well. All right. So
Weddings are cheaper.
one reminder for township residents. I think this is probably on the township channel and the website. But Christmas trees. If you have a natural Christmas tree, not an artificial tree, and you want to put it out for composting, this last Saturday, the 5th, Waste Management was driving around picking up trees, and this Saturday, okay, is the last day that they will pick up Christmas trees. They do have to be, empty of all their decoration. Okay, don't just. I do know people that just sort of throw the whole tree out, tinsel, balls, angel, and all. So you can't do that; they won't take it. And if it's an excessively large tree, if it's over 6 feet, you have to cut it in half. But otherwise, just leave it, as it is. You don't have to put it in a bag. You don't have to put it in a receptacle. Just leave it as is on the curb where you normally leave your trash this Saturday, and they will come and pick it up. So that's a sort of a normal arrangement that's been for a couple of years now. So with that, again, thanking all board members and administration for their work. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.